Men are quietly opting out in 2026, not in a dramatic, angry way, not as a public protest, not as a revenge arc. Quietly, they stop arguing about dating culture online, they stop negotiating with chaos, they stop explaining themselves to people who already decided they're wrong. They stop trying to win at a game that keeps changing the rules mid-play, and from the outside, it looks like they disappeared. But they didn't disappear, they withdrew, because a growing number of men have reached the same conclusion, independently from lived experience. The return is collapsing. Not the return on love, not the return on connection, not the return on building something real with someone who is aligned. The return on effort in the modern dating environment. For a lot of men, it's starting to feel like the same investment keeps producing the same outcome. High input, low output, high risk, low stability. And the men who are opting out in 2026 aren't the men who can't get women. It's the men who can. Men with options, men with careers, men who have built something, men who know what it costs to rebuild after the wrong relationship. Men who did the things society told them to do and still got punished for it. So they did what rational adults do when the math changes. They stopped playing. And if you're watching this, you already feel the shift. You see it in your friend group. The guy who used to chase hard, now he doesn't even download the apps. The guy who used to be a romantic, now he moves like a businessman. The guy who used to want marriage, now he talks in terms of risk management. And it's not because men stopped wanting love, it's because men stopped wanting confusion. Men stopped wanting to fund emotional instability. Men stopped wanting to be measured by standards that don't come with reciprocity. Men stopped wanting to be punished for boundaries. Men stopped wanting to audition for a role in a life they didn't design. In 2026, the opt-out isn't bitterness, it's strategy. It's the quiet decision to protect peace. Because peace, once you have it, becomes addictive. And once a man has tasted real peace, he starts asking a question that changes everything. Why would I trade this for stress? Why would I trade clarity for constant negotiation? Why would I trade autonomy for emotional whiplash? Why would I trade my hard-earned stability for someone else's unresolved patterns? That's the 2026 exit. And today, I'm going to break down what's actually behind it. What changed? Why so many men are walking away without hate? What men are choosing instead? And how to move smart if you don't want to end up cynical, isolated, or trapped. Because opting out the right way isn't quitting. It's upgrading your standards. It's refusing to bleed in places you don't have to bleed. It's building a life so solid that companionship becomes a choice, not a need. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. A lot of modern dating is not designed around partnership. It's designed around consumption. And consumption has no loyalty. Consumption is always scanning for an upgrade. It's always asking, what else is out there? It's always one swipe away from a new fantasy. And when dating becomes consumption, people don't build. They sample. They don't commit. They compare. They don't repair. They replace. That's not everyone, obviously. There are still women and men who want something real. But in 2026, the environment rewards the opposite. The environment rewards attention seeking. It rewards the loudest demands. It rewards the shortest attention span. It rewards optics. It rewards performance. It rewards leaving. And when the environment rewards leaving, you get a culture where staying requires a level of maturity that fewer people have. So men are adapting, not by hating women, not by trying to punish women, by stepping back and reevaluating what they're willing to tolerate. Because men are learning something the hard way. You cannot negotiate your way into being valued. You cannot overperform your way into being respected. You cannot buy your way into loyalty. You cannot fix someone's emotional instability with your consistency. You can't carry a relationship with effort alone. Effort doesn't make someone healthy. Effort doesn't turn entitlement into gratitude. Effort doesn't turn chaos into peace. Effort just makes you tired, and tired men eventually stop. The first reason men are opting out in 2026 is simple. The baseline expectations have inflated and the accountability has deflated. A lot of men feel like they're being evaluated like a finished product, while being asked to accept a partner who is still in process, still confused, still reactive, still inconsistent, still unsure what she wants, still carrying unresolved baggage, still addicted to attention, still comparing you to a highlight reel. And if you call it out, you get shamed, you're insecure, you're controlling, you're intimidated, you can't handle a strong woman, you're not masculine enough, you're broke. And men are waking up to a pattern. When you set a boundary, the wrong person doesn't negotiate, they attack. because your boundary interferes with what they wanted to extract. So men are opting out of environments where boundaries are punished. They're opting out of environments where standards are only allowed on one side. They're opting out of environments where being a good man is treated like a resource, not a relationship. This is what men mean when they say the return is collapsing. A healthy relationship should return something to you, not just sex, not just companionship. It should return peace, support, respect, reciprocity. It should make your life lighter, not heavier. It should add energy, not drain it. It should stabilize you, not destabilize you. And if the relationship is not doing that, it's not a relationship. It's a liability. In 2026, a growing number of men are treating dating like any other decision with consequences. Is this person an asset to my life or a risk to my life? Does she bring order or disorder? Does she bring consistency or volatility? Does she bring calm or constant friction? Does she build or consume? Does she respect boundaries or punish them? And when men ask these questions, a lot of situations fail the test. So men walk, not loudly, quietly. They simply stop showing up. The second reason men are opting out in 2026 is that men have learned the difference between attention and affection. Attention is cheap. Attention can be performed. Attention can be traded. Attention can be given while someone is still entertaining other options. Attention can be weaponized. Attention can be used to control you. Affection is different. Affection has cost. Affection involves care. Affection shows up as consistency, not just words. Affection makes your life easier, not more confusing. Affection respects you when it's inconvenient. Affection doesn't disappear every time feelings fluctuate. A lot of men spent years confusing attention for affection. She texts a lot. She says she misses you. She posts you. She calls you baby. She wants your time. She wants your energy. But when it comes to real partnership, real consideration, real reciprocity, she's gone. And men eventually learn. High attention with low respect is not love, it's control. And that leads to the third reason. Men are opting out in 2026 because emotional volatility has become normalized. Mood swings, hot and cold, tests, silent treatment, triangulation, jealousy games, withholding, creating drama to feel alive, starting conflict because calm feels unfamiliar. A lot of men used to think this was just how women are, or just how relationships are. No, that's how unhealthy people are. That's how unregulated nervous systems behave. That's how people act when they rely on emotional spikes to feel something. And men are done being the emotional stabilizer for someone who won't stabilize herself. Men are done being punished for staying calm. Men are done being told that composure is emotional unavailability. Men are done being trained into walking on eggshells. Because eggshell living doesn't just drain you, it changes you. It makes you smaller. It makes you hesitant. It makes you hypervigilant. It turns you into a version of yourself you don't respect. And when a man stops respecting himself, everything collapses. So he opts out before that happens. Or he opts out after it happens once and he finally wakes up. In 2026, men are also opting out because dating apps created a perception problem, not just for women, for men too. Apps train people to believe they're always one swipe away from better. They inflate perceived options. They reduce people to profiles. They reward superficial filtering over real compatibility. And they create a dating culture where the early stage is less about discovery and more about performance. You're not meeting a person. You're competing with 200 other messages, her friends' opinions, and an algorithm designed to keep her swiping. So men do what men do when a system becomes inefficient. They stop using it. They're not angry at it. They just see it for what it is, a machine that monetizes your hope and your attention. And hope is expensive when it's prolonged. That's why you see more men in 2026 taking a different approach. They're leaning into real-life social circles, hobbies, fitness communities, business networks, travel with purpose. They're building brotherhood. They're becoming more selective. They're not chasing as much because chasing is a tax. Chasing taxes your dignity, chasing taxes your time, chasing taxes your standards. And the biggest shift is this. Men are learning that the most powerful position in modern dating is not getting her. It's being willing to walk away, not as a threat, as a reality. Because if you can't walk away, you have no leverage. If you can't walk away, you negotiate against yourself. If you can't walk away, you accept things you shouldn't accept. And that's the trap. A lot of men in the past stayed in bad situations because they were afraid of being alone. But in 2026, more men are discovering that being alone isn't the punishment. Being drained is the punishment. Being disrespected is the punishment. Being controlled by mood swings is the punishment. Being financially used is the punishment. Being kept in uncertainty is the punishment. Being alone when you have purpose is not loneliness, it's freedom. So let's talk about what men are actually choosing when they opt out, because the narrative will try to paint it as failure. He couldn't get a woman, he's bitter, he's broken, he's scared, he's not healed, he's emotionally unavailable. That's the easiest way to dismiss men who are making rational decisions. But the truth is simpler. A lot of men are choosing three things: peace, purpose, power. Peace means your home is a sanctuary again. You sleep without tension. You don't dread conversations. You don't feel that constant pressure to perform. You don't have to decode mixed signals. You don't have to manage someone else's emotional chaos. Purpose means your energy goes into building career, fitness, skill, business, family, legacy. Men thrive when they have a mission, and relationships that constantly destabilize you pull you off mission. Power means sovereignty. Your time is yours. Your money is yours. Your decisions are yours. Your schedule is yours. And when you've worked hard to build a stable life, sovereignty becomes sacred. Now, a lot of people misunderstand this. They think opting out means you stop dating. Not necessarily. Many men in 2026 still date. They still have companionship. They still have intimacy. They still enjoy women. They're just more careful about what they sign up for. They separate connection from entanglement. They separate affection from obligation. They stop giving wife benefits to someone who hasn't earned wife trust. They stop merging lives with people who haven't proven consistency. They stop accelerating commitment because someone pressures them. They move slower. They observe more. They test for reciprocity. They prioritize peace. This is the key distinction. Opting out in 2026 is often not, I will never be with a woman. It's, I will never again sacrifice my stability to keep someone who isn't stable. That's not bitterness, that's wisdom. So let's get practical. If you're a man in 2026 and you don't want to become cynical, but you also don't want to be naive, you need a framework, because the problem is not women. The problem is selection. The problem is boundaries. The problem is men being taught that having standards is insecure. The problem is men over-investing early to prove themselves. The problem is men trying to earn love instead of choosing a partner. So here's the 2026 framework. 4 filters, 4 decisions, 4 moves. Filter 1, reciprocity. Does she match your effort? Not perfectly, not scorekeeping, but fundamentally. If you initiate 10 times and she initiates 0, that's not she's shy. That's a one-way dynamic. If you plan every date and she contributes nothing, that's not she's feminine. That's passive consumption. If you show care and she shows entitlement, that's not strong standards. That's an extraction mindset. Reciprocity is not romantic. It's essential, because love without reciprocity becomes servitude. Filter 2, accountability. When something goes wrong, does she take responsibility, or does she always have a story where she's the victim and someone else is the villain? Watch how she talks about her past. Watch how she frames conflict. Watch if she can say, I handled that wrong. Watch if she can apologize without turning it into an excuse. A woman who can't take responsibility will eventually make you responsible for everything. Your feelings, her moods, her choices, her disappointments, her triggers. Your job becomes management, and management is not love. Filter 3, emotional regulation. Can she handle discomfort without turning it into chaos? Can she communicate like an adult? Can she disagree without disrespect? Can she be upset without punishing you? Does she escalate, or can she stabilize? Because in a long-term relationship, stress is guaranteed. Health issues, family issues, money issues, work pressure. If she uses conflict as a weapon, your life becomes a battlefield, and men are opting out of battle because battle is not a relationship. Filter 4, respect for boundaries. When you say no, does she respect it, or does she try to negotiate it, guilt you, shame you, punish you, accuse you? A calm boundary is the fastest way to reveal character. A healthy woman respects a boundary. A manipulative woman resents it because a boundary blocks access. So test boundaries early and calmly. Not in a confrontational way, in a simple way. I'm not doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not moving that fast. I don't do last-minute plans. I don't lend money. I don't tolerate disrespect. Then watch her reaction. Her reaction tells you what you're dealing with. Now, once you use these filters, you'll understand something. A lot of men who say, All dating is bad aren't describing dating. They're describing bad selection. They're describing what happens when you ignore red flags because she's attractive. They're describing what happens when you confuse chemistry for compatibility. They're describing what happens when you try to earn a woman who should be earning you too. So, the 2026 exit is not anti-love, it's anti-self-betrayal. Now, let's address a reality that's driving this opt-out movement: the cost of being wrong. In 2026, for many men, being wrong doesn't just hurt emotionally, it can cost years: money, peace, reputation, access to children, mental health, momentum. And once a man has had his momentum destroyed by the wrong relationship, he becomes extremely protective of his stability. Because men know something most people don't talk about. Men build with momentum. A man with peace builds faster. A man with clarity builds stronger. A man with consistent routines builds more. A man who is constantly stressed builds less. And if you've ever had a relationship that destroyed your sleep, your focus, your confidence, and your finances, you understand why men protect peace like it's gold. Because it is. Peace is not a luxury. Peace is a performance enhancer. Peace improves your income. Peace improves your health. Peace improves your fatherhood. Peace improves your relationships with friends. Peace makes you a better man. So men are choosing peace. And when men choose peace, a lot of modern dating tactics stop working. Guilt stops working. Threats stop working. Hot and cold stops working. Because the man isn't afraid to lose you. He's afraid to lose himself. That's the shift. Now, let's talk about what this looks like in real life. In 2026, the man who opts out is not necessarily alone. He just changes his default settings. He stops chasing. He stops proving. He stops over-explaining. He stops competing. He stops trying to be chosen. He starts selecting. He becomes harder to manipulate because he is not desperate for validation. He can enjoy a woman and still keep his standards. He can feel attraction and still say no. He can walk away calmly. And that calm willingness to walk away is what creates respect. Not anger, not lectures, not ultimatums. Calm, consistency, consequences. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I get it, but what do I actually do? Here's the 2026 playbook for men who want to opt out without becoming cold. Step 1. Build a life you don't want to escape from. This is everything. If your life is empty, you will tolerate the wrong woman because she fills space. If your life has purpose, you will only allow the right woman because she adds value. Your mission is the filter. Your routines are the boundary. Your peace is the standard. So build your life. Fitness, finances, skills, brotherhood, family, spirituality. If that's your lane, build a schedule that makes you proud. Because men who are proud of their lives don't beg for attention. Step 2, stop overinvesting early. In 2026, overinvestment early is the fastest way to become disrespected. Not because women are evil, because humans value what has cost. If you give everything early, time, money, attention, access, you remove the need for effort. You teach her that your presence is automatic. You train her nervous system to take you for granted. So move at a pace that allows reality to show up. Let time reveal character. Let consistency reveal intention. Step 3, make your boundaries boring. No speeches, no drama, no negotiations, no explaining yourself twice. A boundary is not a debate. It's a standard. And if someone needs you to argue your boundary into existence, that person is not aligned with you. Step 4, choose based on behavior, not potential. A lot of men get trapped because they date potential. She could be great if she heals. She could be amazing if she calms down. She could be loyal if she stops needing attention. She could be respectful if she learns. No, date reality, date behavior, date patterns. Because potential is a fantasy, and fantasies are expensive. Step 5, detach from outcome. This is what makes opting out powerful. When you detach from outcome, you stop trying to force things. You stop clinging. You stop bargaining. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing a specific woman to validate your worth. You become calm, and calm men see more clearly. Calm men select better. Calm men suffer less. This is why the men who opt out in 2026 are not weaker. They're more disciplined. They refuse to outsource their worth to attention. Now, I want to address the fear that a lot of men have. If I opt out, won't I end up alone? Only if you do it wrong. Opting out doesn't have to mean isolation. Opting out means Refusing bad deals. It means refusing to be drained. It means refusing to be controlled. It means refusing relationships that take more than they give. If you opt out of bad dynamics, you create space for good dynamics. And the men who do this correctly often end up with better women. Not because they game women, but because they stop being available to low quality behavior. They stop rewarding entitlement. They stop rewarding disrespect. They stop rewarding inconsistency. And when you stop rewarding those things, those people disappear. Good. That's the filter working. Now, let's be honest. Some men will hear this and take it the wrong way. They'll use opting out as an excuse to avoid growth, to avoid social skills, to avoid vulnerability, to avoid accountability. That's not the 2026 exit. That's hiding. The 2026 exit is not running away from women. It's running toward a better life. It's building yourself so well that you can choose love without needing it. It's being strong enough to walk away without hate. It's being disciplined enough to stay calm when someone tries to bait you into chaos. It's being wise enough to understand that not every woman deserves access to your life, because access is earned, not granted. And this is the biggest mindset shift of all. In 2026, the most attractive thing a man can have is not looks, not money, not status, it's stability. Because stability is rare now. Stability is magnetic. Stability is what makes a woman feel safe. Stability is what makes people respect you. And stability is what prevents you from ruining your life for temporary attention. So when men say they're opting out, what they're really saying is this: I'm opting out of instability. I'm opting out of one-way dynamics. I'm opting out of being used. I'm opting out of chaos disguised as passion. I'm opting out of relationships that cost more than they return. And I'm choosing peace. Now, let's bring this home with a reality check. If you are a man watching this in 2026, you have two paths. Path one, you keep playing the same game. You keep chasing, you keep overinvesting. You keep tolerating mixed signals. You keep accepting disrespect because you're afraid of being alone. You keep negotiating your standards down. And you slowly become the kind of man you don't respect. Path two, you opt out of bad deals. You raise your standards, you move slower, you select better, you protect your peace like it's sacred. You build your life, you keep your dignity, you stay calm, and you give access only to people who show accountability, reciprocity, emotional stability, and respect. That's the 2026 exit, not a collapse, a correction. Men are not quitting love. Men are quitting the version of dating that requires them to abandon themselves. And if you want a line that sums up the entire message, it's this: the man who can walk away calmly is the man who can't be controlled. In 2026, that's not just a dating advantage, that's a life advantage. So here's the question for you. What was the moment you realized the return wasn't worth the investment? What was the event, the pattern, the relationship, the conversation, the experience that made you step back? Not to blame, not to complain, to learn, because if men share reality, men stop repeating the same mistakes. Drop your experience in the comments. Keep it honest, keep it respectful, and if you want more videos like this, clear, practical breakdowns of modern dating, boundaries, masculine calm, and building a life you respect, subscribe. In 2026, the men who win aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They're the most selective. They're the men who protect peace like it's power, because it is.